Yeah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. It is your host, David McKagan. I'm here joined by my co-host, Alex Parr. And Alex, you know what? People wonder in the summertime, hey, you're going to have a lot of sport content that's going to be going on? Oh, and let me tell you, you and I have had a lot of sport content between the NHL offseason, the NBA offseason, and all the other things going around in sports. And today, as always, we got an action-packed show here on the Game Sports Show.
Yes, thank you to the NBA, NHL players, the league entireties. They've given us so much to chomp and chew on and dissect this offseason. Keep it coming. That's all I got to say. Keep it coming. Keep us employed.
Absolutely. Now, this first part is going to touch home, per se, here.
Nice segue. Nice segue.
It's going to be nice, and we're going to transition to that very easily right now because I don't think I could top that quote off any better. Ronnie Franchise, people know him as Ronnie Francis. I like to call him Ronnie Franchise because I think that's clicky. He was the former general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's a Sioux native, obviously a former NHL All-Star and superstar who had 549 goals in his career, 1,249 assists, 1,798 points, that is, and 1,731 games played. And he was let go as a general manager from the Carolina Hurricanes now, just at the end of 2018. And now he has become the general manager of the Seattle Blank. Alex, now this individual obviously knows hockey. It obviously proves it by he doesn't go top 5 in points overall in his career for not being a good hockey player, or he's been very credited for his leadership skills and for his knowledge in hockey. He was hired 6 months earlier than what Seattle was going to announce the position for. He becomes the 32nd GM in hockey and the second Sault Ste. Marie general manager next to Kyle Dubas.
Currently active, too. That's a crazy thing. If you told me even 5 years ago that two people from Sault Ste. Marie were going to be general managers of the NHL, no, you're kidding, you're joking, or you're a time traveler, because that would have been something so preposterous. But now for Ron Francis, there's work to do. I mean, you don't bring in a guy 6 months ahead of planned schedule and not have things in motion. The team doesn't start till 2021-22 season. One thing I don't like about the upcoming expansion draft, though, is Vegas being exempt from it. I think that's a little outrageous.
See, that's one thing that we discussed yesterday on our ESPN version from across the river on the Game Sports Show, and obviously we talked about it at the Pier on Sunday that you can check on the GameSportsShow.podbean.com or through the GameSportsShow.com. You have Vegas, who has so much success with their expansion draft that you can't draw it any better. The only thing that could have happened that really topped it off is if they would have won the Stanley Cup against the Washington Capitals, right? Other than that, you make the Stanley Cup Finals, you have such a great season, and all these second chance players have such big years. Look at Marchessault, look at Colin Miller, another Sioux native that
William Karlsson,
that's probably the biggest one that we can mention. But now Seattle is going to be coming into the league not this year, the following year, and they're going to be in an expansion draft position where, yes, they can't draft from Vegas, but they have the opportunity to maybe draft another strong team like Vegas did.
And I mean, if you look at Carolina last year, to think they'd make it to the conference finals, I don't think many people assume that. But Ron Francis had a big role in acquiring some of those pieces. Now, going through and looking at Ron Francis' trade history, the biggest trade he made while he was at the helm of the GM chair was trading Eric Staal out, and maybe 2 Christopher Stieg trades coming out and back in. So maybe on the trade front, Seattle wasn't thinking too far ahead. But drafting, it's so apparent in the Carolina's roster right now that a large part of that success came through drafting and came at the hand of Ron Francis.
Absolutely. Now, with Seattle, he has work to do, okay? And he has to maybe bring in a coach that he's going to work with. I brought out the outrageous idea that maybe he would pursue Mark Messier. I know that's very outrageous. I think a Dallas Eakins might make a bit more sense potentially. You know, he might even pursue he's coaching the Toronto Marlies. Sheldon O'Keefe. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second.
Yes.
You know, so hopefully Toronto fans, they hope that doesn't happen. But there's a lot of candidates out there, and Sheldon O'Keefe is obviously coveted by a lot of teams in the National Hockey League. But we're talking about Seattle here and Ronnie Francis. And going into Ronnie Francis, he's going to have the opportunity to choose his own staff. He's going to have the opportunity to be a part of the name selection that we're going to get to in just a few moments. And to draft the team that he really can have the foundation around and draft from the start. And that's like playing the ultimate dream mode in a video game. Like Ron Francis has the opportunity to duplicate what Vegas had. And you know what? Can't forget, a lot of people question if this franchise is going to be successful. They already have a waiting list for season tickets. So you got to, if people that question if they're going to be successful or get fans, they're definitely going to get fans.
Oh, absolutely. And if there's any team that wants to create itself in the NHL, sell your tickets and prove that you're viable economically, because Floridas, the Arizonas, the teams not really doing a whole lot of benefit to the NHL are kind of holding them back. But if you can sell out tickets and get a dedicated fan base 2 years ahead of time, you've got some hockey-hungry fans there.
You definitely do. Now, in Seattle, the name has been the fun and the talk around it, okay? And there's been names thrown out there, and I am obviously a big fan of them being called the Seattle Kraken. I think that is a name that I like. You heard other names getting shot out there. You have the Seattle Rain. You have the Seattle Whale was another one. You have the Seattle Slapshots, which I'm going to go to you in just a second for. I know you're not a fan. We even had one of our hosts of the Game Sports Show from Cross River, Scott Nason, mentioned the Seattle Supersonics. You know, there's a lot of trade rights. So there's just names getting thrown out there. And I'm obviously a big fan of the Kraken. I can just see the logo in the jersey.
Right.
So that's where my head is at. Now, where do you think the name is going to go? And secondly, what do you think of the Slapshots if that was a name?
Well, I was fired up about that. Kraken, though, I think is a fantastic name. I think you can do something so cool with the monster and the logo, like engulfing it, coming out of the sea, whatever it may be. But Slapshots, I'm here right now. For anyone mulling it over, thinking that might be a good idea, why don't we have a team called the Brampton Beauties? Why don't we have a team called the Wisconsin Wristers? We don't do that. Just leave the hockey terms out of the names. I know a lot of people thought Golden Knights was a little too far out there, but at least you can be a Golden Knight. You can't be a Slapshot. I think that is the dumbest name, just trying to force an alliteration together. Kibosh it, no, bad. If you like it, you're wrong. No, bad.
I could not agree more. I'm curious about what you as the viewers would think a great name would be. And the Kraken, it just seems, and you can play with that logo, you can play with the colors. I hope that the colors go kind of and this is patented me saying this, but the Monster Energy colors. Kind of that green and that black. I think that's where they kind of have to go because that's where the Seattle Seahawks are at anyways. You know, I really think the Seattle Kraken has a great ring to it. Where do you think the Seattle franchise will go with the name? You obviously know where I'm thinking. You're thinking Kraken as well?
I just like it. The first time you said it, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can actually get on board with that. So, hey, if there's a petition or a vote coming, my vote's for Kraken for sure.
Kraken. I will say, when you mentioned Golden Knights, I was not a fan of the Golden Knights when they first had that name, but now it's caught on.
Right.
Ronnie Francis, they'll be in there, very excited for that opportunity. Congratulations to Ronnie Francis for being a part of the Seattle franchise. So Alex, you and I are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a bit more brief hockey talk, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Dave McKeag, Alex Parr inside Sioux Online ONN Studios. Alex, we got one topic that we didn't jump into for our hockey discussion, and we spent a good amount of time talking about Ron Francis joining Seattle.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Congratulations again to Ron Francis. And as you can maybe recall me saying the colors of the team that I was hoping, kind of makes sense with the sports show logo.
Let us know when you want a sponsorship, Seattle.
Yeah,
let us know.
I like that. Now, there are still some RFAs unsigned, Alex. We've talked about this until we've been blue in the face on the podcast and on here. You know, you have Patrick Laine, Mitch Marner, Mikko Rantanen, you have Tkachuk, you have Charlie McAvoy. These are people that are still unsigned, and obviously everybody's there is waiting for Mitch Marner to probably sign before the dominoes start falling. Why hasn't they signed yet, Alex? Why hasn't anyone signed, or why hasn't Mitch Marner signed a contract yet?
I get asked this question every day I come into work. Why hasn't he signed? Because Mitch Marner's in a situation where he has leverage. He knows the team can only offer him so much money, so he's going to use that to his benefit. Well, at least his agent will do that. But Mitch Marner doesn't want to go anywhere else. The only way he goes anywhere else is if somebody offers him McDavid plus money. 12.5? No. There would have to be a deal that's offered to Marner that is just so financially ridiculous that he's forced to sign it, otherwise it's just dumb and he's losing out on money. I don't see that happening any other way. It's going to come down to close to training camp, and the Leafs are going to go, we still have this much money, and Marner's going to say, okay, I will take that.
He's had a lot of good comments to say when he had his development camp. He expects to be a Leaf. He said all the right things, but we still didn't get the quote saying that I am going to sign in Toronto. He just believes that he will be in Toronto. And here it goes all over again, the RFA discussions, all the money. What do you feel Mitch Marner's worth? I say don't give him anything above 10.5.
I think that's about what he'll get when he joins the Leafs, because I'm saying that. It's the Alex Parr guarantee on it. He will be a Leaf. 10.5 is perfect value for him right now. The only thing that's going to hurt the Leafs is it's not going to be a very long-term deal. They already offered him 8 by 11. He said no, he doesn't want to be locked up that long-term. And with Matthews signing a 5-year deal, it makes it really difficult because now you can't sign Marner at 5. Nope. Otherwise, you're leaving the door wide open for your 2 best players to walk right out it without even saying goodbye, right? So it really ties the hands of the Leafs. Marner doesn't want long-term. Is it going to be a 3-year bridge deal? Maybe something like that. I'm not sure.
It's going to be interesting to say the least. We are still waiting as Mitch Marner awaits to sign wherever he is going to sign, offer sheet or back in Toronto. Alex, transitioning from hockey, we're going to go to baseball. The one and only Roy Halladay, Doc Halladay, as we like to call him, was inducted into the Hall of Fame, obviously. And some little controversy, I guess you would say, is that he goes into the Hall of Fame under his own kind of name. He doesn't have a team that he's affiliated with that he's going into the Hall of Fame as. He didn't go in as a Blue Jay. What is your opinion on him not going in as a Blue Jay?
Well, I know a lot of people on the internet, that's usually where people are their loudest and will state their craziest opinions, saying they don't like that. He should have been inducted as a Blue Jay. I mean, Halladay was a guy who came back to the Blue Jays for one day so he could retire as a Blue Jay. Had openly stated if he went into the Hall of Fame, he wanted to go in as a Blue Jay. Now, I can see why Blue Jays fans would be kind of upset, but at the end of the day, this is a decision for his family. And I believe Brandy's his wife's name, and she was the one that decided, no, I don't want it to be Phillies, and I don't want it to be the Blue Jays. Now, I'm trying to look out at this situation with her eyes, too, where she goes, yes, he loved Toronto, and Toronto loved him back, but at times, he was the only person that people were paying a ticket price to go and watch. Blue Jays, when he was there, weren't the best team. Now, when he was with Philly, he pitched a perfect game. He pitched a no-hitter in a playoff game. Some of the pivotal moments in his career happened in Philly. That's why I can kind of understand. You don't want to show too much love to one team or another team because they played such an important role in his life. I think this decision was the right one.
Yep, that's very strong words. He spent most of his career as a Blue Jay, and obviously his last full game was played with the Philadelphia Phillies before he signed that one-day contract with the Blue Jays. I would have liked to see him partner up with both the Jays and the Phillies to go in together. You know, they both played memoriam to him when he passed away, especially the Blue Jays. Today, the Blue Jays actually put the Hall of Fame sticker on his banner in the Rogers Center, which transitions us nicely into the next topic we're going to talk about with Doc Halladay, is that he is only the second number that's been retired by the Blue Jays. Robbie Alomar is the next one, number 12, that was retired by the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, with his number being retired, and having that stamp on it, is that the Blue Jays saying, by putting the Hall of Fame stamp, you do that anyways when someone is signed or when someone's inducted into the Hall of Fame, but you think the Blue Jays posted that a little bit extra today to be like, do you think that we should have been given credit for him getting into the Hall of Fame, or not credit, but be on the plaque with him?
Right. I mean, 11 years is a long time to spend with a franchise, but I don't think when you're dealing with someone who's no longer with us, you're trying to be petty. I think that's kind of the wrong place, wrong time.
Yep.
I think the Blue Jays are proud that Halladay spent so long there, and proud that he loved the city, and proud that he's in the Hall of Fame now with such a big part of his heart in Toronto that had never left. So I don't think that's the Blue Jays trying to take a cheap jab at the Hall of Fame committee or at his family. I feel like that'd be super ill-timed and ill-advised.
And I don't think the Blue Jays are like that.
No, neither do I.
But as we saw, the next topic that we're going to discuss is, will another Blue Jay be retired? Now, you have Jose Bautista, who's a free agent, Edwin Encarnacion, who's still playing, Donaldson, who won an MVP. But I'll say right off the hop, if another number is going to be retired, it's number 19. It's Jose Bautista's number's got to get put up there, and the excellence in the circular there with the Rogers Center. Then you have Edwin Encarnacion, who I believe is another one who would be considered. And Encarnacion is still playing, but will another number be retired with the Blue Jays?
I think the only one that would be Bautista's. You know, somebody there before Mount Crushmore, as you like to call it as well.
I love that.
He was there well before that, and he was there, and he tried his best, and you could see the age starting to set in the later years as the Blue Jays started to dismantle their pieces. I think Bautista, the first Blue Jay to, oh, look at that photo right there.
That's the perfect photo of the bat flip. I remember where I was when that happened.
Yeah, as does every Blue Jays fan. I can tell you exactly where I was, what I was eating. But going back to Bautista, he is the only Blue Jay that I think in recent memory that could have his number retired. But I don't even know if I think he will. You know what? Being the first Blue Jay to hit 50 home runs, fantastic, congratulations. But the playoff success wasn't there. And will that determine whether he makes it or not? Time will tell.
Definitely will tell. And I think that he is going to be retired there, as to be totally honest with you. Now, at the end of the day, is there anyone who's coming up that will be potentially retired?
Well, I mean,
think his name's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You could be the next number retired. You're only 19 years old. Let's not rush the kid from, to his retirement. He still hopefully has 20 plus years left with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes, fingers crossed, and congrats on that grand slam against the Tigers as well.
Oh, that was fantastic. We talked about that on the podcast on Sunday at Pier 55, and the Blue Jays in general are looking like a promising future. And in general, numbers are going to be retired. Superstars are made, and the Blue Jays have generated some good superstars. Bautista Encarnacion being it, Vladimir Guerrero being the next superstar, Biggio, Bichette, everyone coming up. But Doc Holliday, congratulations getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Definitely a life taken from us way too soon. And I do respect the decision for him not having a name beside it, but I kind of would have liked to see the Blue Jays there coming from a Blue Jay fan. Dave McCaig, Alex Parr, inside Sioux Online, ONN TV Studios. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we got some more sports discussion, including Kawhi Leonard. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Dave McCaig, Alex Parr, inside ONN TV Sioux Online Studios. Alex, we're going to transition. We talked about hockey. We talked about baseball. We're going to talk about basketball and Kawhi Leonard. Now, everyone's going to wonder, Kawhi Leonard, he's already signed with the LA Clippers. Why are we going to talk about Kawhi Leonard? That's old news. Not really. We had some new news happen. Did Kawhi Leonard and an uncle, did they violate the CBA? Oh, my Lanta, as we'd like to say.
You're right. Now, right now, most of what is being said has only been deemed as rumors. So when you're listening to the rumors coming from the two teams that didn't get the player they wanted, they might be a little bit more prone to whining, crying, complaining. Why didn't Kawhi want to come to us? Oh, well, he was terrible. That's why we didn't get him, because he wanted this and he wanted way too much. No. Until I find something that's solid evidence, I'm going to say this is all garbage, especially when I first heard it from Stephen A. Smith, who is beyond ridiculous, beyond biased. But I guess if I'm sitting here saying his name, he's doing something right.
He is. He's already given the media more things to talk about and fans more things to talk about. Now, I'll say this, okay? It's interesting, the involvement, and anybody who made up the story or confirmed the story, whatever is going to happen with it, I think that if he was involved and if he is getting a piece of the pie for him going to the Clippers, this is a big problem. And the NBA is going to have a big problem on their hands. And what are you going to do with the Clippers? Are you going to be, hey, we're going to take all your first-round picks?
That's exactly what
Oklahoma City already has them. So that's not going to happen unless you take their next 10 picks after that. I don't know what you're going to do. But Kawhi Leonard, okay, if that happened, there's been people stating that there's rumors that he might have to go back into free agency and won't be allowed to sign with the Clippers. It might completely terminate the contract.
Wow.
There's a lot of things that could happen. The NBA can go any kind of route that they can find with it. But again, I really sense that a lot of the news media coming from Stephen A. Smith, and a lot of it's coming from a lot of LA Lakers brass, okay? The Toronto Raptors and the brass there have been actually pretty easygoing and pretty understanding with this, given the situation about losing such a star like Kawhi Leonard, arguably the best basketball player in the game today. Anyways, Alex, it shows right now that NBA has a big problem. There is a big problem with, tampering. LeBron is a big part of that. And just people going to make super teams and people taking less money to go to teams because they want someone else to play with them or they want to be somewhere hot and it's too cold to play in Canada or in Detroit. I don't know. I really think, I know you say it maybe didn't happen, but family can get involved in this, and it might have gotten involved, and if it did, it's a big problem for the NBA.
And if there is tampering in this league, which we see all the time on a consistent basis.
May not be known, but we see it.
Always. If it happened, like you say, what are they going to do to penalize them? I was going to say take away their draft picks, but what draft picks to take away?
Yep.
If Kawhi ends up going back into free agency, if this is proven, the shockwaves that will be felt throughout the NBA will be massive. Now, the thing with Kawhi, I don't know. The thing with the whole league, I guess, is it's just player run. The players have so much power, more so than you see in baseball, more so you see in football, especially hockey. Hockey players don't really have much say. Now we're only just seeing RFAs using their advantages now and trying to leverage a little bit more. But for the NBA, they're going to have to do something with this tampering, especially if something this big is actually happening.
A lot of issues have come up with the NBA with Golden State winning the super team that they had, but they only signed really Kevin Durant in that super team. They drafted a lot of those guys that really played, and then LeBron making some teams with Miami and Cleveland winning, and now with the Lakers, the Clippers going on that route to make the super team. It's just all in all the nonsense in the NBA with the super team has caused a lot of viewers to be upset about it and not be as popular. And if this really happened, this is going to be massive what the NBA does with the decision. And I only bring up that ludicrous or far-fetched decision because the NBA might go that route to stop this from happening again.
To set the precedent.
Yep.
The precedent. I mean, nothing has really been done before. Yeah, Doc Rivers, I think, got slapped on the wrist with a $25,000 fine.
Oh, that won't be this time.
But I don't see players getting fined. I don't see them ever being the target of the repercussions. But like I say, if Kawhi did tamper and his family was involved and his family's getting perks out of it, the money and the houses or whatever it was that was said, wow, the dominoes that will fall.
Or will Kawhi Leonard get suspended for a year? Oh my Atlanta, I'd like to say. But Alex, we're going to move on from basketball. We only got limited time. We're going to talk about some local football, and it's going to be in our famous In the Pocket segment. And within the pocket today, we're going to talk about some local football. Okay, it was a very, let's say, busy weekend for the local football team. The SaberCats program, SaberCats, the junior varsity SaberCats playing, the Steelers playing. Unfortunately, the varsity SaberCats, unfortunately, are no longer playing. But fortunately, the junior varsity SaberCats are playing, and the Steelers still have to play their playoff game. But going to the Steelers first. The Steelers won 29-0 in North Bay, and they will take on the Steel City Patriots next weekend at Cardinal Newman High School in Stoneleigh Creek. So that will be where the Steelers get their playoffs underway, finishing the season at 500 after that nice decisive win over North Bay. Now, the varsity and the junior varsity SaberCats. You have the junior varsity team that end up winning by the score of 49-21 against Forest City. Now, get these stats. Mike Nicoletta in the game. We've talked about this on the radio show a couple times already. 5 touchdowns, 283 yards.
Marshawn Lynch who?
Yeah, we talked about video games for the last couple weeks. He must have been playing on easy mode and edited his own attributes because he was in a different game of his own there. Impressive stats as Jim Monaco's junior varsity SaberCats move on to the finals, and they will play against Chatham. Now, in Chatham, it's going to be a more tougher ride. They're in the finals.
But imagine being Nicoletta going into this game. After scoring 5 touchdowns, you're on the moon. You're on cloud 9. You're going to feel absolutely unstoppable. And if he plays at 50% of that, that is going to be still an unstoppable player.
Definitely. Very impressive year by the junior varsity or SaberCats. Now, the varsity SaberCats end up losing, unfortunately, 31-24 in OT to the Brantford Bisons. It was an interception that led to the win for Brantford in that game. And tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill, Matt Primo, Jamie Antonello will be there. They're part of the Gain Sports Show, but also part of the coaching staff on the SaberCats. So we're going to get into more descriptive detail about this, the varsity SaberCats on tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill, and that'll be very exciting to get their comments, as Matt did praise the effort of his team, but unfortunately their season coming to an end. But a lot of promise for the future. So that's going to wrap up our In the Pocket segment. Alex, tomorrow there will be another day, and there will be another show. 9 p.m. from Sports Center Bar and Grill, and then Sunday from Pier 55 we'll wrap up our shows this week. Alex, It was awesome, as always.
Has always been a pleasure. Since we started doing this, I've been having an absolute blast, and we've been seeing a lot of reactions, a lot of likes coming in on the social media pages. Guys, I just want to give you a thank you for all the support that you've been showing lately.
Definitely. We're very happy for the support, and we have more big things coming for the Game Sports Show. I'm very happy they're able to join us here tonight from ONN Soo Online Studios. It's David McKeag signing off, and until tomorrow night, everyone have a great rest of your night. Booyah.